Yo, you action figure enthusiasts out there, JC here, and welcome to another T&I toy review. And for today's review, I'm going to be taking a look at the brand new G.I. Joe Haslab Skystriker. So this is for Hasbro's 3 3/4 inch line with the O-ring figures. We're going to head over to the review studio and take a closer look. Okay, so first thing to note here is, unlike the original Skystriker jet, only thing in this box here is the jet itself, not even the action figures. Even though they are pictured on the front, they are not actually packaged inside. So everything else besides the jet, including like the decals, the instruction sheet, all the action figures, which are individually, have their own card backs, the flight stand, and then the support vehicles and the other accessories are all packaged outside of this box here. So when you get this, you get an outer shipping box, and then you open that and you get another cardboard, just a generic brown cardboard box, and then inside that is this along with everything else. But we do get the jet, and this is, this packaging here is very reminiscent of the original G.I. Joe line, of course. You've got the same kind of artwork with the Skystriker. You've got Ace, and then the new guy, Wayne Ruthel, in the cockpit. So this is the first time, this Haslab Skystriker is the first time we've ever gotten this guy that was featured in the original artwork. It's the first time he's ever been made into an action figure for G.I. Joe. So then down here it shows you how some of the accessories work. On the sides of the packaging, again, it goes over the features of the Skystriker. And then on the back, it shows you, again, the jet and the figures, and goes over kind of all the accessories and everything that are included with the jet itself. Essentially the original Skystriker jet. It doesn't go over things like the support vehicles and the flight stand and all that. Now, before we take a look at the Skystriker itself, I just want to give you a closer look at the figures that are included. So, as I mentioned before, each figure comes on its own card back. However, I do want to note that some of my card backs did have some minor damage to them, some creases, and it didn't really look, the way they were packed fairly nice. So I feel like the damage may have happened when they were actually being put into the box. I'm not sure. But this one came out all right. So again, as I mentioned, this is the first time that we are getting this guy. He's the co-pilot. He was featured on the original box art for the Skystriker, but they never made a figure of him until now. So this one I feel like is the most unique. Now, the card backs are not punched, and then on the back you get a look at all the figures that are included with the Skystriker, and then you get the classic file card. Okay, next up we have a look at the Ace figure, which is the one figure that the original Skystriker did include. It did not have its own card back then, but it was included with the Skystriker. Now, I've got to be honest, I've never liked this version of Ace. He always looks more like an astronaut to me than a jet fighter pilot. I don't know why, he didn't end up looking like, Tom Cruise Maverick from Top Gun. That's what I think of when I think of a jet fighter pilot. Again, to me, this outfit always looked more like an astronaut outfit. But this is how the original figure looks, so I can't fault Hasbro for giving us this look for him. And then once again on the back, you have a look at the other figures and the file card. Next up, we've got Scarlet. So we never got this version of Scarlet before. It's essentially Scarlet wearing a similar outfit to Ace, again looking like an astronaut outfit, though hers is blue. So I guess because she was seen piloting the Skystriker in the cartoon, they decided to give us Scarlet as a pilot. It's funny, in the cartoon, anytime anyone was in the Skystriker other than Ace, they just wore their normal outfits. They didn't have any kind of special flight suits or anything. But again, for the first time, we have Scarlet in her own Skystriker flight suit. And then finally, for the Joes, we have the Night Force version of Ripcord, which I don't think this was ever. I don't think we ever got a figure like this in the original line. I don't remember Night Force per se, so I feel like maybe this is something they made up for the Skystriker. But essentially, Ripcord in all black. He does have the halo gear like the original Ripcord did, but the original Ripcord figure had a camo outfit on, whereas again this one he's wearing all black. And as all the others, you do get the file card on the back there. Now the remaining figures that are included are all Cobra oriented. If you want to deck your Skystriker out in Cobra decals for some reason, they've included that, and then in giving you a couple of Cobra figures. So we've got Cobra Commander here, which is featuring that Mickey Mouse symbol, you know, back in the day with the original line. The first Cobra Commander figures, the Cobra symbol didn't come out quite right, and it looked like the symbol was wearing Mickey Mouse ears. That's where the figure gets its nickname. We're getting a classified version with the Haslab His Tank, but with the Skystriker, we've got this O-ring version. And once again, on the back, we get a file card for Cobra Commander. Then next, we get a Cobra Soldier, or Cobra Trooper, I should say. So I believe this is the second time Hasbro's done a modern O-ring Cobra Trooper, because they did a 2-pack with this guy, I believe. But I guess they included this because, you know, back in the original toy line, the original Cobra Commander came in a Sears playset with the Cobra Trooper. So I guess they decided to include these two with the Skystriker as kind of a nod to those original figures. And again, we get the file card on the back. And then the final figure included with the Skystriker is your Cobra Ground Crew member, codename Ramp Rat. So this is a unique figure as well. This is the first time we've gotten this version of a Cobra soldier in the G.I. Joe line. Again, if you want to put the decals for Cobra on your Skystriker and have it be a Cobra vehicle, again, I'm not really sure why you'd want to do that, but if you did, then you've got this flight crew member that you can use with the jet. Now here, I just want to give you a look at all the decal sheets that they've included, which honestly, I've never been a fan of putting decals on vehicles, so I'm not really a fan of this. But they did give you quite a few different decals, so you can kind of switch it up. Some various G.I. Joe ones, and then as I mentioned before, you also get the Cobra decals if you want to make it a Cobra vehicle. So here's a look at all the missiles that are included with the Skystriker. So you get 4 smaller ones, then you get 4 additional ones that are a little bit larger, then you get 4 that are even bigger. Then you get, I believe those are bombs, and then the last one is, I want to say, is a fuel tank. So these all attach on the bottom of the Skystriker. You can also attach them to the flight stand, and then you can also use, put some of them on some of the support vehicles. You get 6 different types of blast effects with this vehicle. You get 2 chairs that go in the cockpit, and the parachutes are attached to the chair. So they have redesigned this from the original, where they've made a little compartment where you can actually pack the parachute inside there. It used to be you just attach it to the back of the chair with a rubber band, if I remember correctly. And I'll show you the parachute in a little more detail in just a bit. And then here are the back wing fins. I don't know what the official name for these are, but you get 2 different versions. So the original toy had this kind of grayish color ones, but then on the box art, they were black. So Hasbro has included both versions with this new Skystriker. Now everything I'm going over right now is packaged outside of the main box. So none of this is included with the actual jet itself. Here are some additional wing pieces, once again not included with the main jet, and you can see with these larger wing pieces they have painted on some symbols, so you don't necessarily have to apply decals if you don't want to. And then finally we have a few additional miscellaneous pieces: the canopy, the ladder for climbing into the cockpit, and then some other little doodads. These look like holding the missiles. Not entirely sure what this is supposed to be, and this little vent piece as well. So again, all of this stuff is packed separately from the main box. Okay, so this is a look at what you get out of the actual Skystriker box itself. It is just the body of the jet. No missiles or anything attached to it. Okay, now when you're attaching the wings to the jet, the main wings, you're probably going to want to take this lever and pull it back. Make sure it's pulled back so that this piece is extended outward, because it's going to be easier to attach the wing pieces. Now you've got these little clips here, So you have to kind of finagle it. So you want to probably kind of come in at an upward angle when you're pushing these in, and you may even want to hold this back lever thing so that this doesn't move on you. But basically, you just kind of want to get it and then kind of push it down until it clicks into place. And it can be a little bit of a pain. This is my first time or second time I'm attaching the wings, but and you have to apply some pressure, but you want to be careful because you don't want to snap those little plastic pieces. Now, when you're attaching the back wings, those are easier to get in than the front wings. Those you just again want to make sure you kind of come in a little bit at an angle, but basically those just require that you push in and they should snap into place. And then you've got the top fins, which you can choose from the black or the white. These are the easiest to put in. They are made to be removable. I mean, you can technically remove the wings, all the wings, but, you know, especially like the large wings, if you try and take them out once you've put them in, you know, it does become much easier to like snap the wings off. Now, it's not clear in the instructions, but I think you want, with these back wings, you'll notice there's this little circle here, and I think that should be on the inside. So that's how I'm going. So you just want to snap those into place, and then do this one. And I kind of prefer the black wings over the grayish ones. I like the different contrasts and colors between the two. I haven't decided if I'm going to put the decals on or not, because I'm terrible at putting decals on. But again, I prefer the black ones over the ones that are the same color as the rest of the jet. Next up, you can put the chairs inside the cockpit. So you've just got a little peg there, and you just basically line it up with the little holes inside, and they should just snap into place. So nothing too major there. Okay, now once you have all the wings attached, next thing you're probably going to want to do is attach the missiles to the bottom. Also, one thing to note, these engine pieces, which the black pieces here, these are not actually already attached to the jet when you take it out of the box. These get packaged separately. They just slide in here and click into place. I had already done that, so just note those are separate pieces. But as far as the attaching the missiles to the bottom, so you know, if you had the original Skystriker, you're familiar with these pegs on the bottom. However, you'll note that the pegs are missing on the ends here. So the reason why that is because Hasbro's given you a choice where you can attach these single pegs like the original Skystriker had, or you can attach these alternate pegs that allow you to essentially do 2 missiles or a bomb and a missile. So basically to allow you to add extra firepower to your Skystriker that was not an option in the original toy. So my recommendation would be to go with the extra and just attach these pieces, and they just plug into place. Now, as far as the configuration goes, it's really up to you. But classic configuration would suggest you start off with the fuel tank, the extra fuel tank. You'll notice there are these 3 slots here. So the reason why there's 3 is because the flight stand, if you're going to attach the Skystriker to the flight stand, it uses these slots as well. So you can't have the fuel tank and the flight stand on at the same time. But if you're just going to go with the fuel tank, then it goes in the middle. Now in the original Skystriker, this was not removable. I always thought it was like a bomb. I didn't realize till later that it was a fuel tank. But it was also used as a handle kind of for you to hold on to the Skystriker at the bottom, whereas you're not going to want to do that with this one since it is removable. And then next up, again going with classic configuration, you're going to want to go with the larger missile and plug them in here. Now one thing I want to note, I had mentioned that the decals were pre-applied on some of these larger missiles, you know, painted on there. You would think like the decals would point outward on each side, but that's not how they've done it. Basically, the decals point to the right of the jet. So on this side, obviously, they're going to point outward, but on this side, they are not. Then for the smaller missiles, those generally go up here at the front. And you get extra missiles, so you can, you know, if you want a bunch of small missiles or what have you, you can do that. These larger missiles go here, so classic configuration would have them on the top, but for me, I'm going to put them off to the side here. Like that. And then what was not included with the original were these little, I assume these are bombs. They look like miniaturized versions of the fuel tank, but I'm assuming these are bombs. And so I'm going to put these on the extra tabs that we now have so that the Skystriker can now drop bombs as well as shoot missiles. Now the more I look at these, I mean, these are identical looking to the larger fuel tank here. These aren't actually listed on the instruction sheet. And again, these were not something that came with the original Skystriker. But it may be that these are just additional fuel tanks for like long-range missions. So like smaller versions of this. But to me, I still think they look more like bombs. So I don't know if jet fighters like this actually have bombs. But in my world, that's what these are. They're bombs for the Skystriker to drop on Cobra. And then one other thing you get on this Skystriker up here at the front that wasn't included with the original toy is this piece, which I wasn't sure what it was at first. You just pop it in this hole on the front here and it slides into place. And this is listed as a chin pod with infrared sensor and tactical camera system. So essentially a way for G.I. Joe, I guess, to spy on Cobra at Cobra Island, I guess. Now the flight stand, again, you can store the extra missiles that you get on the sides of the flight stand. And then as I mentioned, if you want to put the Skystriker on the flight stand, you will have to remove the larger fuel tank. So you just slide that off. Try not to knock off the other missiles like I just did there. But if you do, then you just pop it back on. And then, as I mentioned before, you've got the three pieces here that just slide into the three holes here. So really easy to get it on there. And then you can display the Skystriker on this flight stand, which is pretty cool. Again, something that was not included with the original toy. The Skystriker has a canopy that's attached when you take it out of the box. You also get a second canopy, and at first it didn't make much sense to me why Hasbro had included two different canopies. But then I realized it's for the decals, so I think one is made for Cobra and the other for G.I. Joe, basically, because, you know, you put the pilots' names on the bottom of the canopy here. So if you want, there's a decal sheet that has Cobra names that you can put on it, or there's a decal sheet that you can put like Ace on there and the other guys. So I think that's why they included two different canopies, so you can have one with Cobra decals on it and the other with G.I. Joe. Okay, now once you put everything together, now it's time to start playing with your Skystriker. So let's just go over some of the features. So just like on the original toy, you've got this slide lever on the back, and use that to extend the wings out. Now, unlike on the original toy, when you would do that, the landing gear would also pop out at the same time. That is no longer the case. The landing gear are not connected to the wings. They have included this extra piece here, which was not on the original toy. It is made to look like a hook for landing on an aircraft carrier, you know, like the flag. But, you know, that's not included. But in order to extend the landing gear, you just pull this thing back, and it extends out. So if, you know, we ever did get a USS flag that your Skystriker could land on, I would assume Hasbro would do an actual wire that this could hook on, so that when your Skystriker lands on the aircraft carrier, it hooks this and then extends out the landing gear. So definitely kind of cool. Now, other things included, you get these removable panels, and I want to say the original had this, but I won't swear to it. But you just pop these off. It's the same on both sides. You just get some engine detail, some basic plastic gray and white there. But, you know, basically if you want to do some repair work on the engine, you can do that. So, and again, that's on both sides. And to put it back, you just pop it into place. You also have back here this flap. This was definitely included on the original Skystriker, but it didn't move like this. It was a static piece, but now you can like lift it up. You also have this gray thing here on the back, which I don't remember being on the original toy. I'm not sure what the exact point of this is. It's made with just a rubber type material, so you know, it's basically rubber. And again, I'm not sure what purpose it serves. It's not listed on the instructions, and as I said, I don't recall it being included in the original Skystriker toy. You also have these flaps on the underside back here, which is another thing I don't remember being on the original, so I think this is something they've added as well. So it can be kind of difficult to get these to come up, but again, you have those additional flaps there on the bottom side. And then for an additional detail I don't remember on the original toy, you've got some sculpting detail there with the engine. So, and you have that on both sides there. So like I said, I don't really remember that on the original, so I think that's a new addition. Another feature that this new Skystriker has that the original didn't is you have these side panels here that you can remove. They just pop off, and so you get some more interior details of the vehicle. But also the main reason for doing this is they've included this little side ladder so that your pilot can actually climb into the Skystriker, and with that you're supposed to be able to clip it into place. So it basically just pops on there so that again your pilot can actually climb into the cockpit. And then you also get support vehicles. So this is the vehicle, you get this one, which is basically has this fuel. So you bring this out to fuel your Skystriker, and you can basically pull out the hose, and then you can pull the hose back in by turning this crank. You get this one. This is basically for towing. You get this little vent piece that attaches. This was a separate piece I had shown you earlier, so it attaches to this, and it can be kind of hard to get it off once you've clicked it into place. In fact, a little too hard. You have to kind of pry it open with your fingernails. But so you've got that, and then you can take this piece and put it on top here. So this is for also carrying weapons out to the Skystriker. So you can plug in some of those missiles into here, and you can also take your ladder and just hook it onto the side here. And then, as I said, you can stick your missiles, some of your missiles in there, so you can make it seem like they are being brought out to the Skystriker. So this space is for the larger missiles. You can put this size missile into these little side compartments here. They plug in there. If you want to do the smaller missiles, you either can hook them on these, set it like on these hooks if you don't want the ladder, or you'll have to use one of the larger spaces. They won't actually fit in these spaces. Only this size missile will fit in that space. But as I said, you then hook your vehicle on the back here, and it can tow it around. There's no place for like somebody to sit here and like drive this vehicle, so I guess this is supposed to be like remote controlled or something like that. Okay, now next up we've got these blast effects, and they've made a bunch of them, so you can attach them to things like these front cannons on the Skystriker itself, so it looks like it's firing, and you've got that on both sides. You also, they've included ones that you can attach to the missiles, so you can put like this one so that it looks like the missile is firing out, which is cool. They've given you some effect pieces that you can attach to the back engines, so it looks like it's firing its thrusters. So that's pretty cool. You get various sizes again for the different missiles, and then they've also included these, which is interesting because with these you can attach it to the bottom of the chair so that you can gotta turn it like that, but basically, and you can plug it in so that it looks like that the ejector chair is blasting out of the Skystriker. So that's kind of a cool added effect piece as well. Now here's a look inside the cockpit. So you've got this little side control panel. This actually looks like something that slides out, but I don't think it does. And then you can also remove this front part of the canopy, and you can see there is some details on the controls there. Now, a big question I had was, can your 25th anniversary G.I. Joe figures fit in this vehicle? And the answer is kinda. So, first thing to note is that the 25th anniversary figures do not have holes in their backs. You'll notice with the chairs, they do have little pegs that stick out, and the O-ring figures do have the holes on the back so that you can plug the figure into the chair, so it's more secure, especially if you're going to have them eject and throw up the parachute and stuff. But if you want to put in one of these, these are a little bit taller, so if you want to put one of these 25th anniversary figures in, you can fit one, not two, because you're going to have to take out the front chair, because this figure will not fit into the front chair. His legs are too tall. So you can take out this one, the front chair there, and essentially make it a one-seater, and then you can stick your Ace in there, and he will fit. But, technically, no, this Skystriker is not made for the 25th anniversary figures, and so they're not going to easily fit inside there. Okay, so now I have my O-ring Ace that's included with the Skystriker, and just to give you a size comparison, there's a look at the 25th anniversary Ace, which you can see is much taller. Now, as far as getting two of the O-ring figures into the Skystriker, it's still a tight fit, to be honest, but the best way to do it is, so get your Ace figure seated, and you want the legs to be just straight out like that. You can't bend the knees too much because of the way, because it's basically, these seats just fit in there flat. So again, you want to get your legs kind of straight out. You want to make sure he is plugged into the seat, and that's mostly for if you're going to eject him out and throw him up in the air with the parachute, which I'll show you in just a minute. But get him in there, and then position the arms however you want, kind of folded in like that is probably best, and then you just slide him in there. The legs will slide in underneath. Will slide in underneath here. So just kind of get him in there and get the seat plugged in. Now it's the second figure that you have a little bit of issue. The figure in the front seat, the legs just slide in underneath the controls, and so that's no problem. But with the second figure, so again, plug him in. Again, have his feet straight, fairly straight, but and they will fit a little bit under this seat, but it's a tight fit. And the legs will end up kind of bending a bit, and that should do it. You can then get the canopy closed okay. But again, it's a very tight fit for the guy in the back here because of his legs. They really didn't give him quite enough space for the legs on the back figure there. So it's very hard to get both of them in there so that their seats are positioned properly, and then that you're able to close the canopy. It is doable, but it takes a little bit of finagling. Okay, so for the final feature of the Skystriker, and probably my favorite, the ejecting parachute. This is something I used to love on the original Skystriker as a kid, taking your figure and throwing it up in the air and having him parachute back to the ground. That is a feature that was missing in the more recent Skystrikers that Hasbro's done over the years, but they have once again included it with this version. So this honestly is probably the main reason I decided to back this campaign and get this Skystriker. So they've redesigned the chairs, as I mentioned before, so that the parachute isn't just sticking off the back like on the original toy. They've added this little extra case that you pop on the pop over the parachute. Now, if you want to essentially eject your figure and then have him parachute, you want to pull this thing off, pop it off. The parachute is basically packed in the back there, so you want to make sure that you unravel it. Then you want to make sure that the parachute is hooked onto this piece back here. You want to have it kind of doing it down, I guess, is actually up is going to be, you want to make sure the strings are coming out, and then you want to make sure you put this piece back on, because that secures this on there, otherwise the parachute will just come off the chair. But then you pop that back on, and now your figure is ready to parachute. So let's go test this out. Okay, Okay, so, overall the parachute seemed to work fairly well, at least throwing it out my second floor window. It caught the wind and floated down. It didn't work quite as well as I remember as a kid just throwing it up in the air from the ground. But that's probably because they're using the cloth material now as opposed to that kind of plastic bag material that they used on the original one. It probably doesn't catch the wind quite as well, but it's going to definitely hold up over time better than those original parachutes. That's for sure. Now, overall, I would say I'm pretty happy with my purchase here. This is definitely a nice update to a great and classic toy. It has everything I remember about the original and some improvements. The overall quality of the plane, I think it's been pretty good. I have no complaints there. I did have the minor creases on a couple of the card backs for the figures, so if you're planning on keeping your figures mint on card, I don't know how widespread that kind of thing is going to be, but that's really my only minor complaint when it comes to this particular Haslab. Now, I don't know if Hasbro's really going to do anything more with the 3 3/4 inch. I know, with the hook on here for the aircraft carrier, it definitely makes me almost want to go out and like buy an old vintage flag. If I had some place to display it, I might even consider that. But I really don't. And, whether they do a new flag or not, I kind of tend to doubt it. I feel like, when they launched their Hasbro Pulse O-ring figures, they maybe didn't quite sell as well as they were hoping. I think a lot of people thought maybe they were too expensive. So, I don't know. This might be it for as far as 3 3/4 inch stuff goes. As I feel like the Haslabs going forward are probably going to focus more on the 6-inch classified. Maybe not, we'll see, but as it is with this one, definitely it was a great vehicle as a kid, and I'm pretty happy with this one as well. Okay, so that's all I have for you today, but as always, I'd love to hear your own thoughts about this down in the comments section below. Also, think about liking the video if you're so inclined, and if you're new to this channel, please think about subscribing and hitting the bell notification so you're alerted every time I upload a new video. As always, guys, stay safe out there, have a great weekend, and until next time, I'll catch you later.
Hey, thanks for watching today's video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification so you're alerted every time I upload a new video. And be sure to head over to the Toy News International and Marvelous News message boards communities. It's a great place to talk toys and win cool contests like $100 store credits to Big Bad Toy Store. And remember, action figures are great.